All right, we're gonna collect every single bit. We're gonna max this game out. See everything this game has to offer now that I've done the hardest part. I think. I think. Okay, so what I think I'm gonna do is kind of go over what I think happened in the story. What I think my theory is of what the story's going on. So, like I said, I think everybody in Silent Hill, the ones we're seeing, are dead. I think Silent Hill is an actual town, and there's actual people living in it, and it's normal life in the real world. And I think that Silent Hill has a curse, a hex on it, because Silent Hill has a history. Um, I think this all took part. A lot of the history of Silent Hill came through the Salem witch trials. It was during that time because this is Northeast. Salem's in Northeast, right? So this was all around the same time they did witch hunts, and they killed some witches. Like Maria pointed out, that lady that statue that was there. She said, "Hey, wrongfully killed." But I also think there's other deaths that happened in Silent Hill that created this heavy weight, this something deep and evil that took root in Silent Hill. Something underneath, like they say, the rot. There's that mining incident that a lot of people died. And then there's also the plague that came out. And there's a lot of dead bodies in Toluca Lake. It claimed a lot of lives, so a lot of bodies are in the waters. They persecuted that witch and put her on the island, and her love died, so she cursed the sound of Silent Hill. So there's a heavy curse on Silent Hill with death and evil that's just its foundation. So however, there's real life that's going on in Silent Hill that maybe they see this. There's dreams that you see notes. There's people that have dreams, and there's paranormal stuff that go on. But it's not until you die and you're ghost and you have trauma that's linked to Silent Hill that you get trapped here, that you go through a purgatory. And that's what I think happened to these individuals. That happened to James, that happened to Angela and Eddie. That they had some trauma that happened and they died, and their ghosts, their spirits are trapped in this trauma loop of stuff that's heavy on them, that their subconscious is holding on to, some trauma that's being played in a loop in Silent Hill. And I think they're stuck in a loop. I think they're reliving Silent Hill. I think James driving off the cliff into the water just ended it, and now it started again. Hence point, we're starting New Game Plus. Just a constant loop, because my biggest hint of why that is because you see the puzzles. The past puzzles from the last games, they're solved, they're broken, they're decrepit, and then there's things that are different in this version of the game. That's showing glimpses of what James did in the original game, and now we're playing a loop that we see that those have been done. But James, every time he goes through the loop, I think his guilt and his subconscious resets his mind. It puts blocks on his mind, and it restarts it, and then he has to do all this all over again because he loses his mind. He forgets, and I think that happens to Angela and Eddie as well. Angela and Eddie, I think Angela, very obvious. So she got abused, physically abused and sexually abused by her father, her drunken father. He was a drunk, and he was very abusive with Angela. And it insinuates that with his model of the nasty daddy. Sorry, I make up all these names, but that's how I know him. The nasty daddy shows an imprint, and it's almost like the dad's on top of another person under the bed sheets, and it's a walking bed. And I think insinuates that he was on top of Angela, raping her. So taking advantage of just being drunk and abusive and sexually abusing her. And I think he did that her growing up, and it created this horrible mental, like, what's the word I'm looking for? A stunted growth of her mind. Like, she's stuck in this trauma. That's why she says mama and mommy, like her, and talks like a child stuck in her childhood because her father stunted her mental growth by taking sexual advantage of her. And he fucked her up. And I don't know if he did that to the brother either, but Angela eventually kills the dad. That's what the symbolism of the knife is. She kills the dad and did horrible things. And I don't know if the dad killed the brother too. I don't know if that was insinuated, but Angela was scarred by that. And then the mom, the only good thing in her life, hated Angela for that, because the mom was under this toxic lifestyle too, that she was abusively dependent on the father. The father probably verbally and physically abused the mom too, and she was dependent, like this codependency on the father, this toxic. It's like that's how toxicity works. She was dependent on him, but didn't know that she was being abused. So I think the mom hated Angela for that, And then Angela, out of that, the trauma from the dad, and now the mom hating her, and possibly her brother dead because she was looking at the graves, looking for both the father and the brother that they should have been there. I think Angela committed suicide with a knife, and she sees and she goes through her own hell. I think she sees everything on fire because that's her hell. That's what she sees her Silent Hill. I think the other thing is, I think each individual goes through their own version of Silent Hill because it's their internal drama. Angela is seeing this stuff happen. It's all on fire, and then the Big Daddy, and we don't see it till we kind of get closer to her, what's going on, and then we see it too. So I think that's that. And then Eddie. So I think Eddie was bullied, very obvious, and then he was creating this this horrible sociopathic thoughts. I think he became a sociopath because of that. He was being bullied, and so he bullied little things like a dog, little animals, signs of a killer. So he was bullying that, and then he started killing. He bought a gun. He found a gun. He started killing people that were bullying him, and I think he got chased at a certain point and chased into a freezer, a locker or something, a meat locker, meat freezer, like we saw that we fought him in, and I think he was killed either by cops or those people that were chasing him for what he did. And Eddie is stuck in his own Silent Hill of that, and he thinks everyone doesn't realize they died, because sometimes you don't realize that. I mean, that's one of the things we see in movies. So when you die, you don't realize you did, and then you see your body, the cliche, the ghost sees the body and realizes they're dead. So I don't think any of these people think that they know they're dead. And Eddie said, I was being chased and just found myself here in Silent Hill. The town was calling. Same with Angela. She doesn't know how she got there, or James. He just keeps finding himself on the top parking lot with his car. But yeah, that's what happened with Eddie. Now Laura, I think she's also in Silent Hill, but the thing with Laura is, so I think the way she died, obvious, she spent time in the hospital with Mary. They became very close, and then they loved each other. Mary loved her as a daughter because she couldn't have any with this disease, and Laura loved her as a mom because she lost her parents. But she was stuck at this hospital, and that's all she knew, and I think she died of her disease just like Mary did, because she's in this loop as well. And I think she doesn't see or is affected by this kind of stuff because she doesn't have trauma like everyone else does, because she died so young. So she's in Silent Hill, but she's not seeing things horribly like everyone else is. That's why she can run through everything with no problem. But I do think she died. Now, how does that explain Maria and Pyramid Head? So Maria, so a lot of the bad guys, look at the lady that was hanging, that bed, that lump of flesh in the bed that was hanging, that boss we fought, or Pyramid Head, or Maria. I think they all represent psyches in James's mind, like aspects of what he was seeing, what he feels, or what he's seeing. So I think Maria. So Mary towards the end became nasty, became very physically unable to move, physically horrible, like it was just sickly. So there was a lot of things going on with James. He wasn't receiving the love he wanted. He wasn't having sex anymore with her. Physically, he wasn't getting what he needed. So everyone has their needs, and in his mind, he has this desire of what he wanted Mary to be, what he wanted from her, like the sexual desire he had for her, that he created Maria in his mind of what he wished Mary could be. That she was sexy, she was seductive, healthy, and that's what he wanted Mary. He wished Mary could be, and it was lust. It was Maria represents the lust that James had during the frustrations during the time with Mary. I think there was other things that happened during the time that Mary was sick. I think he turned to alcoholism. I think that's what those holes represent. There was a hole here. I think that's what that represents. Is every time we were finding those holes were different aspects of Mary's disease, or the guilt that he felt. I think we found that represents the alcoholism, and I think that is pointed out when Maria was trying to give him a drink and he refused to touch it. I think he was battling alcoholism, and he shook it towards the end, but that's why there was no more a hole. There was a hole here. It's gone. I think that's what that represents, alcoholism. So, but that's what Maria was the lust that he wanted. That's what she represents. But I think also deep down in his subconscious, in his psyche, he remembers that he killed Maria. So there's a guilt. Even though if he doesn't remember actively, there's a guilt in the back of his head. And I think that's where he created Pyramid Head because of his desire. Pyramid Head represents the desire for him to punish himself. He wants to be punished for what he did. And I think in this, his mind just broke and all of it that he eventually starts forgetting and then blocks. His mind was so weak that he just doesn't remember. He doesn't want himself to remember, so he forgot all this stuff. That's why when he relives this every time, his mind breaks. So I think that's what Pyramid Head represents, is the desire for punishment. And you can see that because Pyramid Head kills Maria, and Maria and Pyramid Head is pushing away through the guilt that James feels. He doesn't want to feel that lust for what he did to Mary, so he wants to push it down. So that's what Pyramid Head is doing, is killing Maria. And that's why Maria, if it's sad that she gets killed, but then when you realize what she represents, she's not real. So she's getting killed, and it's his desire, it's his for punishment, his guilt, that he's pushing away that lust that he was feeling, that he wanted for Maria, because he feels bad because he wants Mary. Ultimately, he loved her. So so I think that's what that all represents. This is all my theory, that they're all dead and living through this, and then James sees Maria and Pyramid Head are representations. The only thing I don't know, I don't really have a theory for, is the final boss of Maria, because it's almost like it was a third person. It wasn't really his psyche. She wouldn't let him go, and then she showed her true self, which was someone else. It didn't seem like Mary. It wasn't Mary, because he said Mary's gone. So it was someone else, and then she said, "I won't let you do this to me," because she revealed who she really was. I don't know, and that's where I don't know. My theory is, I don't know if that was the lady on the lake, the lady that was stuck out there, that was waiting for her love. And when James is here, now she's getting that, and she won't let him leave. I think that's what that might have been, but I don't know. I don't know unless Maria is something that got created in Silent Hill. Maria is an actual thing now in Silent Hill, and that's who she was. Another theory I have is maybe James cheated also during the time that Mary was sick. Maybe he did get a prostitute and go to a motel, because when you're at the motel with Maria, he says something bad happened here. We need to leave, when he was in the motel room. So I think that motel represents something he did that he really regrets, was that he got with a prostitute, maybe. I do think each person is going through their own hell, because hell is subjective. It's subjective. One person's hell might not be another person's hell. So it has to be something that's tormenting that person. So I think that's why Eddie is seeing this be continually bullied in his Silent Hill. Angela is continually being abused by her father, chased by her father, and James is reliving this hell of the torment of him killing his wife and going through this. So I think each person is living their own tormented hell, because I think hell is subjective. Yeah, and then Otherworld. What does that represent? I think Otherworld are twisted versions of because when you get depressed, everybody at one point has felt depression, or sadness, or helplessness of situations. And when you're in that situation and it feels helpless, and you're just getting tormented by these continual thoughts, and then mental problems start to happen, mental illnesses of OCD, of repeating events, of helplessness, of not knowing what to do, and you're depressed of a situation, be it a loss of a love, loss of a crush, of loss of a career, legal issues, financial issues, just name it, or just you get down, just a chemical imbalance in your body, and then the world around you starts to turn dark and nasty, and it feels like a gloom over everything. And then the world starts to twist. Things you used to know, things you used to be familiar, seem horrible, and the air seems it seems like stifled. It feels like the light is dimmed. It's the gloomy, ghostly light. It just feels like everything has been twisted. That's what I think Otherworld is representing. It's once James starts remembering moments of what has happened, that's when Otherworld starts to kick in, is because it starts the depression deep down of what he does remember, but he's not actively remembering. Deep down of what he knows what had happened, it starts warping the world into this depressing, nasty, rusty, goopy, wet version of locales he used to know, he used to be with Mary, because it's no longer that. It's all decrepit, it's all gone. There's no more light, no more love that he feels, because Mary's gone. I think that's what Otherworld represents. Yeah, and with that in mind, if that's what Otherworld represents, then that also explains that theory holds true that Laura, probably that's why she doesn't see these things or is going through that, because she hasn't lived life long enough that to feel that kind of trauma, that didn't experience, that she hasn't felt those kind of traumas. So maybe that's why she doesn't see this other world, all these bad guys either. So that explains Pyramid Head and Maria in my theory. So the bedridden Mary, the one that hangs, so that's an obvious representation. It's what, when she was at the height of her sickness, the worst of it, that's what he saw, what he feels like. She was just a lump of nasty, goopy flesh in a iron casket. That's probably what he saw at the end. So then what do the flesh jackets, the lying figures is what they're actually called. I like to call them flesh jackets, and the mannequins. So I think the flesh jackets are another representation of what he felt like the rot was taking over Mary, because of the female. That's what I was saying. Pay attention. They're all female qualities for these bad guys. Is the flesh jackets represent like the rot that was happening with Mary. So it's like wrapped up, like if she was in a bed, spewing out that acidic vomit. It's just all goopy looking, scoopy looking. And then the mannequins was that lust that he felt, because they're very presumptuous, more sexy looking kind of thing. Not that it is, but it's all legs. It's all legs. That's what the mannequin is, and it has a butt and everything. And so those represent the lust side of things that he was feeling, attacking here and there. The nurses represent the rot and the horribleness that he felt in the hospital when he was there, and the coldness of the nurses, I bet you, because it was just like Mary said, that they were just making profit off her. So they were just going about their business like it was a job to them. So they were cold, they were nasty. That's how he felt. He saw those nurses. And then the hanging chads, I don't know. They look like vaginas, the hands and the mouth. I don't know I don't know what that really represents. I don't know. It could be very straightforward. Just another sexual desire. I don't know. So, and then I think that also it kind of shows, yeah. So those were all other little parts of his psyche wanting to punish him and stop him. So when the very end, when he found out he killed Mary, and those bad guys are still in the hotel, in the Rodden Hotel, you can see they're dying, because in James' mind, he found the truth and he no longer cares about. And then that's why when he fought the Pyramid Heads at the end, he said, I no longer need you. I know what you are, because he finally has been tormented enough. He's like, I don't need to be punished by you anymore. I want to forgive myself. And he kind of gave up. Once he found out Mary was dead, he gave up. He's like, I don't need this anymore. I'm just going to take my own life. So I think, yeah, those monsters are like little thoughts, the little thoughts in his head that are constantly popping up. So yeah, I think the theory of James being dead also ties in to the other games. I think the other games give hints that the other characters are dead. Silent Hill 1, big theory. Spoiler, but big theory. Silent Hill 1, Harry crashes his car against a telephone pole because he dodges to avoid a ghostly little girl. And he finds to wait to find that Cheryl's gone, and that's where the game starts. He leaves the car and goes through Silent Hill. At the end of the game, one of the endings is that Harry is behind the wheel dead, that he never survived, and then his ghost went through Silent Hill. Like he's going through that looping afterlife because he died hitting that telephone pole. So I think that it reinforces in my mind another reinforcement that these characters are dead, that Silent Hill, the nature of Silent Hill itself for all games is that the characters have died. They're dead, and this is the afterlife, a hell. It's a hell, Silent Hill, because it's hexed. It's an afterlife, looping, purgatory hell. So, because Harry dies, a theory. Silent Hill 3 is a little out there. I can't really piece it. I mean, Silent Hill 3 doesn't make much sense to me anyway, because Cheryl, Heather are the same reincarnation. So is she in and out of the afterlife? Maybe that's what it is. Is like she's 1 foot in, 1 foot out because of her heritage, reincarnation of that. So maybe that's why she could see this stuff and she's reliving in and out of Silent Hill. Silent Hill 4, I don't know. I can't remember much if he's to say why he would be dead or not. But the one where Homecoming, That one might be obvious. He was a soldier, homecoming. Maybe he died during the line of duty, and his ghost found his way back to Silent Hill. Downpour, he's a convict. Maybe he died that way. I don't know. I don't know how to piece the other ones together, but part 1 and 2 kind of reinforce my theory that you die and that's how you experience Silent Hill, that they're all dead. But yeah, that's my theory. That's my theory of what was going on. That's my synopsis of how I think the game went down. I think that is my explanation of the game, of what Silent Hill 2 is all about. I may be wrong, but that's the great thing about these medias, this form of media. That's the great thing about the community of gamers, is to share thoughts, and each person had their own theory of what really happened. I like sharing that, and I like hearing other people's theories. So I love hearing what your theory would be about this. And if you have a theory, leave it in the comments. Let me know what you think. I'd love to read it. But yeah, that's my 2 cents. That's like I said, it might piss you off. That's good. That's good if it pisses you off. If I go against, if you don't agree with it. But everybody's entitled to what they think, how this game goes down. But that's my theory. That's what I think, how I think this game went down. But yeah, guys, with that, I think I'm gonna stop here. Like I said, we're not done. We're far from done. We had 7 different more endings to go, and speed runs and collectibles I still gotta do. So it's gonna be. I'm gonna run this on easy though. So I'm gonna be just doing this as a cleanup, and I'm also might be looking up some stuff of collectibles I might miss. I'm not gonna spend every minute of my time now trying to find this stuff on my own. No, I wanted to do it the first time by myself, but I got too much. I don't got enough time to be doing this on my own. So I'm gonna look some stuff up on some collectibles if I miss something, you know, some secrets, see if I miss anything, and we're gonna get them and record it. But yeah, that's gonna be on the next time, and we're gonna do New Game Plus. Thank you for going through this journey with me. We went through James's journey of guilt, despair, grief, of his tortured mind. Thank you for going through that journey with me. I had a great time. We went through. I had some really hard times, but I enjoyed the game for the most part. Like I said, 9 out of 10 for me, and I'm really glad you guys took part in it with me. Thanks for going through it with me, and all the good times and the bad. But yeah, guys, with that, I'll see you guys on the next playthrough.